Hey everybody, this is Matt. I'm making a new Heroclix video, and it's the brand new year, 2023, and I just kind of wanted to make a few videos about my favorite figures from 2022. So this video is going to be about my favorite common and uncommons from the sets that released in 2022. Technically, the Batman set isn't releasing until January 11th of this year, so it doesn't count. And again, these are my favorite pieces and not just like the best pieces or the most meta pieces. These are pieces that I think in general, if I was a new player, I would want to get my hands on. I would want new players to be able to want to go after them because they'd be a great piece to their collection. So I broke it down with 5 different sets, and we will just start with War of the Realms. War of the Realms, I have chosen a common and an uncommon, and the common is the Scarlet Witch 004. She's 30 points, which is fairly cheap. She has Passenger 3, and I feel like Passenger is probably in my top 3 favorite mechanics in this game. It's just a very useful mechanic to have. It's a very useful ability to have to be able to carry around other characters in mass. And she can carry around 3 characters, but only characters that share a keyword with her. Thankfully, she does have Avengers and Mystical keywords, which is probably the 2 most used keywords of her 4. And there's a lot of Mystical and there's a lot of Avenger pieces, so she can carry around 3 of them. She also is phasing teleport, meaning that when she carries them around, she can go through walls. If you're on an indoor map, she doesn't have to worry about going around the walls or going through doors or anything. She can just phase right through everything, which is good. She also has telekinesis, so after she has carried everybody and dropped them off, she can then, in future turns, TK them out or TK them back. She can TK objects around. It's useful. It's another useful power to have. And then also she has probability control, which you don't always see on pieces. And I would say it's one of the more rare damage powers to see. You probably more often see Perplex and maybe even Outwit more than you see probability control. So to have the telekinesis, to have the probability control, and to have the 11 movement thanks to the Avengers team ability with the phasing teleport and the Passenger 3 for 30 points, I think she is an absolute great piece for any new player, even for experienced players just looking for a cheap taxi piece to carry around their pieces. The newest Avengers Forever set, they had brought in a bunch of new young Avengers, and I was like, I'm gonna play this Scarlet Witch with them, and I didn't even realize she had the keyword. But yeah, she's really, really good. So on the other side of the spectrum, I also chose the Uncommon Thor. He's a very decent tent pole for a team. A tent pole basically meaning like this is your main attacker. This is your most of your focus is going towards this one piece. You're gonna have some secondary pieces, some tertiary pieces that will complement or work along with this piece, but this is like your main guy, and he's good. He's 125 points, which isn't exactly half of a 300 point build, but a little bit less. He's running, shotting, flying, so terrain outside doesn't really hurt him that much. Psychic Blast, so that he can hit through damage reducers, which is important. Impervious, so that he has some kind of defensiveness himself. And then also Leadership. Leadership on your tent pole isn't super important. It usually kind of more wanted on like a piece like Scarlet Witch, so you can leadership tokens off of your tent pole. But like if you have Scarlet Witch carrying around Thor, until you're ready, Thor can be leadership token off of Scarlet Witch. Also, he's 125 points, so leadership works in 2 different ways. One way is if you share a keyword, you can remove a token, but also if you're lower points, you can remove a token. So at 125 points, there's a very good chance everybody else on the team is going to be lower points. So even if you're playing like a deity theme team or a warrior theme team, even if you're not even playing a theme team, being 125 points means that he can probably leadership a token off of whatever is next to him. So that's useful. Even if he gets hit for a bit, he still keeps Sidestep. He still has Psychic Blast his entire dial. he still keeps a little bit of defensiveness, and he has enhancement, meaning that he's also, again, helping out the characters around him. And then, if you get the chance, he bounces on a regeneration, and he could probably heal back up. He also has some nice bells and whistles. He has 8 range. I would say in general, I've noticed a lot of the ranges are lessening over the years. I think it was not the Scooby-Doo set, but maybe the Exosword set that me and my friend just noticed a lot of 6 ranges. Just like why are we not seeing a lot of 8? Why are we not seeing anything higher than, maybe a 7 or something? So having an 8 range on this Thor is nice. It's interesting at times where having just that one extra square of reach is nice, and you especially want it more than 6, so that when your opponent goes to use their probability control to reroll your attack, you are outside of their 6 range with your 8 range attack. He also can target through characters, which is super useful. It's super useful. It means like, let's say your opponent has a Scarlet Witch and it's carrying around his entire team. You can just shoot the Scarlet Witch. Even if he puts the Scarlet Witch behind his other pieces that protect her, you can see through the other characters and shoot the Scarlet Witch, KO the Scarlet Witch, and now his team is stuck there while you're 8 squares away, which is pretty nice. And then he also has, when he has a trait, when he hits with a range attack, which he should be hitting with a range attack, after resolutions, he may use Energy Explosion as free, but must target a hit character. So if you KO the hit character, you can't use the Energy Explosion. But if it has 5 clicks of life, or maybe it has a reducer of some sort, and you hit it for 4, and it stayed alive, you can then Energy Explosion on it, which then will hit everything around it. And he also has Psychic Blast, meaning that Energy Explosion damage will also be penetrating. So, it's nice that your Temp Pole can do 2 attacks in the same turn. With an 11 for 4, it could be better. You maybe could have a 12. That would be even nicer, but, that's where Perplex comes in and stuff like that. I think this is a great starting Temp Pole, a ranged Temp Pole for new players. He can still be outwitted. That's probably one of his biggest weaknesses. He doesn't have Power Cosmic or anything. At the same time, those are usually found on the higher end pieces, Power Cosmic, or Cosmic Energy, as they call it nowadays. But it's still it's an interesting piece. I think it's a great Temp Pole piece, and I think Scarlet Witch and Thor are definitely commons and uncommons. I would definitely recommend people to get from War Realms. Okay, I think the next set is Disney Plus. So from Disney Plus, there's a lot of lower pointed characters in Disney Plus. So, it's kind of hard to really kind of figure out what pieces are kind of most efficient, because a lot of the low point characters you could fit on so many different teams. So I have to really look at what is bringing a unique, or what is something I would want to run more often, not just who's the most efficient, or, this dude's super cheap, you can fit 3 of him on a team, So I went with, as the common, T'Challa Star-Lord. I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, and, I think Whisket's done a great job in this last year of giving us multiple new pieces to play with Guardians of the Galaxy teams. And even though this isn't the original Star-Lord, this is the one from the Disney Plus show, which was actually T'Challa. But I really like the piece. When you compare him to the Thor from the last set, you see that he doesn't have the Impervious, he doesn't have the 4 damage, but he doesn't have the 8 range, but he still can running shot Psychic Blast. He still has the leadership. The Guardians of the Galaxy team ability means that his values cannot be modified by opposing characters, meaning that the ESD, they can't perplex down his defense, which is really nice. Or use police or anything to modify it down when they're trying to shoot at him. So that 17 with energy shield deflection will be a 19 from range, which is not bad. If you can end him up in hindering terrain while he's taking the shot, he'll be a 20 from range, which is nifty. And then after he gets hit for a little bit of damage, again, if you're in hindering terrain, now you're in stealth. The precision strike, he goes from a piece that could maybe like hit a piece, penetrating damage, and like knock it a little bit, to after he takes a little bit of damage, now he's all in like, I got 2 targets, I'm gonna hit both of them for 1 damage each thanks to Precision Strike. I can perplex up my attack so I can make sure I hit. I'm in stealth, and if they come after me, I got a 17 combat reflexes, a 19 up close. I can maybe perplex it up to a 20, and then they cannot modify me back down thanks to my team ability. So honestly, both parts of the dial is pretty good for what you need. A range attacker, and then a close, and then like a stealthy range attacker. It's really decent for a 50-point common. He's definitely my Star Lord to go to. I liked him better than the 100-point one that came out in Avengers Forever. His range value is a little bit short. That's kind of what I was talking about, how they've kind of been pulling back on the range values. The team ability, I wouldn't always say the Guardians of the Galaxy team ability is super amazing, but when you have a lot of ESD and combat reflexes, it does come in a lot of use. His keywords are okay. You're most likely going to be using them on Guardians of the Galaxy or Wakanda. But I think he's a great piece if you're not looking for a strict theme team. A great like secondary, tertiary attacker for a team, and a piece I would definitely recommend new players or whoever to get. The uncommon I chose is actually a piece one of my friends loves to play all the time, and it is the Wanda Maximoff. 45 points, so kind of on the cheaper end. Trait is Shape Change, and then if she succeeds with Shape Change, she heals 1 click, which can be useful if something gets next to it, tries to poison her, or if she gets knocked onto her stop click, gets knocked onto her stop click, someone else tries to go in for the kill, she gets her Shape Change, he heals right back off the stop click. That's useful. Mystic's team ability is nice, meaning that you kind of don't want to have to go after her. So the reason why it's kind of like this love-hate going after her, don't want to go after her, is she has that starting out 19 defend, meaning that she's going to be behind all her allies, boosting up all their defenses in 19. If she's standing behind T'Challa now has a 19, and then his ESD kicks in and he's at a 21 for range. And that's pretty freaking insane. That's really insane. If she can throw, if somebody else on the team can throw in a perplex, T'Challa could be sitting at a 22 from range. That makes it really hard to hit. So whenever you can like team up defend with like an energy shield or a combat reflexes, it can really make it defense values just so freaking hard to hit. And my friend likes to put, I believe it's Captain Carter's shield on Wanda Maximoff. It basically says it gives you defend, and then if you already have defend, you actually share your defense value +1. So or it's something like that, or you share it and then you also modify them +1. So it's a great way to share really high defenses to all your allies. And then you don't want to go after her because she has Shape Change and Mystic's team ability. She also has probability control, which is also a helpful thing. It can be used defensively, but also in this way is really helpful offensively, because if you reroll a friendly attack roll and the attack hits, you can remove an action token from the attacker. So she'd be great with that Thor, because the Thor would be attacking, and then she can prob it if he misses. If he hits, then he doesn't even get the action. Well, okay. Let's see. After resolutions, remove an action token. Yes. So as the attack resolves, you would give him an action token, then after resolutions, get to remove that action token. So he'd basically be attacking and not even getting an action token to do it, which is really, really cool. The mind control at the very beginning is kind of, again, she's going to be behind. She's usually going to be behind pieces. She's not going to be out front, so she might not be able to see much to mind control. Later on, she gets Force Blast, which is useful, after you knock her off the defend. At that point, she is just strictly a prop piece. But if they try to go in for the finish or something, she can Force Blast them away or something. For the most part, though, you are playing her for the first 2 clicks. That defend, probability control, Shape Change is so, so good. And if you can combine her with the Scarlet Witch from War of the Realms. So you can carry around 3 characters. You carry around her, maybe carry around Thor, maybe carry around somebody else. And suddenly you have Scarlet Witch carrying everybody around, Wanda Maximoff boosting everybody's defense up to 19. You have a Thor that can hit pretty hard, and maybe a T'Challa that can like finish off things Thor hurt really bad, you know? And that's kind of what like a well-rounded team kind of looks like for the most part, you know? So I thought, and there was some decent options in Disney Plus. Again, a lot of low point pieces. But I felt like these 2 pieces I would definitely recommend, and I would say like you want the Wanda Maximoff in your wheelhouse. You want that available for the future. You don't often see a lot of really high defend pieces for a cheap value that you can just fit on different teams. Avengers, Celebrity, Mystical, those are three decent keywords you could fit onto a lot of teams. So definitely try to get these pieces. Let's see, moving on, I think we're going to go right into the regular Exoswords set. We're going to do Exoswords and then also the OP. So, Exoswords, interesting set. This is going to be similar to War of the Realms, where the common I chose was because she has Passenger. Now, think about it though. That Scarlet Witch from War of the Realms was 30 points and had Passenger 3. Magic is 25 points and has Passenger 4. So, I mean, she's 5 points cheaper and can carry 1 extra character with her, which is pretty crazy. She doesn't have TK, she doesn't have Prob, but she has Perplex, which can also be useful. And then you can also equip her for 5 extra points, so she can be the cost of Scarlet Witch, or you can go cheaper. I honestly probably would not equip her, unless you're putting the shape change sword on her, the Warlock sword, yeah, just to give her like a little bit more survivability. That's be the only thing I can think of like would be a good sword for her. Otherwise, 25 points, carry 4 around, phase through walls, perplex up stuff. Great for X-Men or Mystical again. A lot of Mystical. If you're seeing a lot of Mystical, it's because Mystical's been a very, very strong keyword to build teams from for a while now. So, in X-Men, there has been so much X-Men in the last so many years that it's just so easy to build teams with them. So both of these pieces are X-Men. So Magic's just a great passenger carry piece, taxi piece, whatever you want to call it. Passenger 4 is so good. It's so good. There's a big difference between your opponent having 3 pieces, carrying 3 other pieces, and ending up with 3 tokens on the field, or your Magic carrying 4 pieces and only ending up with 1 token on the field. There's a big difference there. A big difference in attrition at that point. Moving on to the uncommon is the Uncommon Jingarei. I love this piece. I think she's super simple, doesn't have many bells and whistles, but it's just like she brings exactly what you need for something at her point total. She's 35 points, which is a little bit more than a Scarlet Witch, not as cheap as the Magic, but she can fly, so she can carry 1 person with her. She can be stealthy, so that 1 person can actually hide behind her and they can't get shot in the right position. She can TK, which we saw from the Scarlet Witch. She can barrier. The Scarlet Witch couldn't do that. She has leadership. So barrier, I'm just going to go back to barrier. Barrier is super cool. And I don't think they're putting it on a lot of pieces nowadays. You're seeing some pieces here and there. They can do barriers free, but they can place 1 marker. You know, maybe they can do barriers free, but they can place 2 markers. You know, but barrier is such a strong power, and it's such a good way to break up a battle or make it really hard for your opponent to get at your pieces or have a clear line of sight to some of your pieces. I love pieces with barrier, especially cheap pieces with barrier, like the Molecule Man from Future Foundation. But also leadership. Like I was saying, she's great. She could carry around the Thor, and then when the Thor goes to attack next turn, she can leadership token off of him. Maybe that would be possible if they shared a keyword, which it doesn't look like they do. But again, she has X-Men keyword, which means she can leadership tokens off of all the X-Men that have been released in all the past year or two. A lot of X-Men. On top of that, she also has Empower, which is also great, you know. And then when Jean Grey is targeting by an attack after resolution, you may place her adjacent to a friendly character within range. So if she survives the attack, you can just place her next to an adjacent friendly character within range. She only has a 5 range, a little bit weak, but it doesn't have to be within line of fire. That means, like, if she's cornered on one side of the map and a few walls over, there's an ally, you know, you can get her away, you know. What's cool also is she doesn't have to be damaged by the attack, just targeted. Meaning that, you know, if they go after her and they miss her, you know, or they go after her in a multi-target attack and they choose not to do any damage to her, she can still place herself further away. So, I think this is a very cool figure for all it does. If she's not trying to deal damage, and if she takes any damage, her value doesn't change. Her first click is the same as her fourth click. She can still TK at any point. She can still barrier at any point. She can still leadership at any point. So it doesn't make any difference if she takes damage. You can use the X-Men team ability with her to heal allies and let her take the damage, because it's not going to make a big difference for her. And I just really like what she brings to the table for her point total. So moving on, we're going to be doing the Exoswords OP set now. This set, this was such a hard thing, because I feel like when they were designing the storyline organized play, I think in general, they tried to make the pieces all pretty decent. Because the organized play was going to be more of a competitive type event series. So, you know, they made a lot of pieces stronger than their main version in the main set, in my honest opinion. And, so there was a rogue in the main set that had kind of like a vampire doll setup where she started on click 4, and then if she got hit, or if she hit opposing characters and dealt damage, she could use Still Energy to heal up into a new 3 top clicks that she wasn't normally have access to, and she would get obscenely strong. But I really like this rogue because she's simple. She's very much like Jean Grey. If she takes damage at any point, you don't have to worry about what she changes into. She is going to be a charge, close combat expert piece her entire doll. She's going to have invulnerability her entire doll. That actually can work against you if she does get outwitted, because it just means it stays outwitted that entire duration. But still, she is super streamlined. Charge, invulnerability, close combat expert, super cool. She can move through blocking. She's flying, so basically, you know, it's going to be hard to stop her from getting to you, basically. And then also this is the only thing that's kind of like, this is a little tricky. You may have to like add this into your strategy when you think about where you want to place her. Is she can use the standard attack powers of adjacent characters, both friendly and opposing. Meaning that if she's right next to a piece that has Blades, Claws, Fangs, which a lot of the pieces in the Exosword sets do, she can then use Blades, Claws, Fangs. And it's the standard attack power, so she's not copying a special power, a white power, but she's just copying the colored powers they can use. So it doesn't have to be colored on the doll. It could be a white power that gives access to the colored powers, but it just can't be like copying the exact white power. And then she may replace her range value with the printed range value of an adjacent character, friendly or opposing. So what's cool about this is, if you want to hold back for a little bit, and let's say you have that Thor sitting there, and the Thor has 8 range, she could then just sit back, copy or replace her range value with the Thor's 8 range, and shoot somebody from 8 squares out. And then later on, if you want to then get up close with a charge and hit somebody 13 for 4 with a close combat expert, that also works. Again, she's great with the X-Men team ability because she can afford to take a damage and not just utterly change and not, you don't have to worry. You really don't have to worry. She's flying. She can get around wherever she wants. X-Men is a great keyword. Brotherhood of Mutants is cool if you want to run a bad guy group. I just really like this rogue. But I will say, if you're in the market and you got $80 to burn, the Hellfire Gala collector set, they have another 100-point rogue that is arguably better than this common one. But this is a much easier piece to get. On eBay, you'll probably have to get on eBay because they don't sell these boosters in stores. But this is a much easier and cheaper figure to get, and I definitely would recommend it for new players or people that just like to play commons and uncommons more, you know? So the uncommon I chose, and this was, again, super hard because there was a lot of really cool uncommons. I was thinking about Risk and all this other cool pieces. I really like Orphan Maker. It's just a decent piece to me. I played him in one of my rounds at some point during the organized play, and I was really impressed with him. So right off the bat, traded ESD, meaning that whatever numbers you're seeing on the dial in the defense slot, if someone's shooting at you, you get +2. So if Orphan Maker is getting shot on the top click, they need to hit a 20, which isn't the easiest thing to hit. Absolutely not. You know, and if you park them in hindering terrain, they got to hit a 21, which is great. But then you add in the fact that he has a stop click at the very end, and when the first time that stop click is revealed, he modifies his combat values +1. So if you have a way to get him onto a stop click and then maybe heal him up somehow, you could really, with the ESD and the +1 to all combat values, it means even on that stop click, he's still going to be a nuisance because he also has Perplex. So you hit him onto stop click, 17 defense. ESD means 19 from range. You Perplex it up, it means a 20 from range, or even like a 19 up close. And it's just like, how can this guy be this hard to defeat even on his last click? Even if you base him, he can still shoot you in the face because he has improved targeting adjacent, meaning that he can Psychic Blast you right in the face. That's super, super useful. Also, when Orphan Maker is dealt penetrating damage, after resolutions deal 1 penetrating damage to an adjacent opposing character. So this was kind of hit or miss for me in my playtesting because, again, if someone came after you from range and shot at you with penetrating damage, you didn't always have an adjacent opposing character to deal 1 penetrating damage to. But in a format with a lot of blades, claws, fangs pieces that are going to be charging you and slashing you, if they exploit weakness you can then, boom, give them back 1 penetrating damage, which isn't bad. It isn't bad at all. Again, the stop click has invulnerability, boost all his stats by +1. He starts out running shot, Psychic Blast, Perplex. Even if he takes damage, he's still charge, super strength, toughness, Perplex. Then stop click is running shot, precision strike, Perplex. I mean, I don't like pieces that, like, you can see if he takes this much damage, he's just sitting there as either a target and he can't get to anybody. He lost his move and attack power. You know, I don't like pieces like that. And Orphan Maker is useful at any click on his dial. He will have movement attack at any click on his dial. Penetrating up close, precision strike at the very end. Maybe he'll pick up a object in the middle. He has ways to deal damage. 75 points is maybe a little bit expensive for him, but I think for a newer player or even just like a casual player, Orphan Maker can make up that 75 points. He may not be able to, contend with chases and stuff, but I really think he can be worth that 75 points, and he really impressed me in my games. So moving on, I think the last set we're going to be talking about is Avengers Forever. And I don't know. I mean, I think some of the commons and uncommons are hit or miss. I definitely think, there's probably a few that, I maybe really like a little bit more, But I'm also thinking about pieces. I didn't want to suggest pieces that you would need multiple copies of to really get the most value out of. Like with the Exoswords Organized Play, the Cuckoo Sisters, Cuckoos, the Cuckoos, you know. You're not gonna get the most out of the Cuckoos with just one of them. You know, you're probably gonna want 2 or 3 of them. And again, I'm trying to make this for newer players or casual players that don't want to spend, you know, dozens, 20s, 30s, hundreds of dollars trying to get these figures. So I like the Doctor Strange, but then you got to get your hands on Astral Stranges and all this kind of stuff. You know, I like the Vision, but then you got to get your hands on multiple Visions, all that kind of stuff. You know, so I went with 2 pieces that I really like from Avengers Forever that you don't need extra copies of. So the common I chose was Mantis. She is super cheap at 25 points. We've already talked about how decent the Guardians of the Galaxy team ability is. It's not always going to be good with like someone with super senses, you know, but at the same time, it's just nice to have an effect where it's like, yeah, you can't modify my values. You know, you never know when that might come into play, especially with like a police team ability team, you know, or just anything else. She's great. She has Perplex, In-Cap, 2 range, and nothing super amazing for all that. She does have a Rally. So Rally works if you're, depending on what kind of rolls you're looking for. She's looking for friendly attack rolls. So if a friendly character rolls a 2 in an attack roll, it could be like a 2-4, a 2-5, or a 2-2. It could be anything. She gets to put a Rally token on her card, and then she can remove her Rally token to remove an action token from a friendly character within range of line of fire. Meaning that she kind of has like a situational improved leadership. You don't have to share a keyword with them. They can be any point total, and they can be within 4 squares. Meaning that she doesn't have to be right next to them to remove an action token. So the leadership, along with the In-Cap, along with just the Perplex and how cheap she is. Cosmic is a great keyword. Martial Artist is a decent keyword. More Guardians of the Galaxy stuff I love. Avengers, fantastic keyword. I think I really like her for 25 points. And then later on, you know, she gets hit. She does change. She loses Perplex, but then she gains Mind Control and Precision Strike. 1 damage Precision Strike is still decent because she has 2 targets. So she can, I guess that works. I'm not 100% sure actually off the top of my head if you can go 1-0 that turn, if you target 2 different, either way, she can make sure she's hitting 1 person for 1 damage, you know, and again, I think the Rally is useful. The uncommon I chose was Drax. Now, Drax is a really interesting piece because he has a built-in negative effect. His negative effect is like, unless he's the only piece on your team, if he would KO an opposing character with an attack, instead leave them on their last non-KO click and you heal him 2 clicks. So he is not good with finishing off pieces, but he's pretty good with like hurting them pretty bad to begin with. And because he has that negative effect built into his doll, I think they cut some points from him. Because he is 6 clicks of a consistent charge blades piece. And the Empower is useful like if you have like 2 Draxes or 3 Draxes. They can all empower each other. Or you have a Gamora that's also fine alongside him. But 6 clicks for 45 points is pretty nice. Charge, blades, his attack value doesn't really dip too much. 2 damage the entire time, which is fine with blades. You don't need a high damage value with blades. And then he has super senses. When he uses it and succeeds, after resolutions, deal the attacker 1 penetrating damage. On top of that, protected outwit. The protected outwit's nice because it means they can't just be like, yeah, outwit your super senses and I'm going to attack you. You know, so that's useful. And then if you get super senses on a 5 or a 6, not only do you turn the hit into a miss, but then you deal 1 penetrating damage back to them. And that's super cool. That is super cool. I think, between the two, you're talking about 70 points between Mantis and Drax. That's like the point cost of like a single figure. And I think you're getting a lot of nice bells and whistles if you're playing them together. He has Warrior, which is an okay keyword. Brute, you don't see that much of. And then Guardians of the Galaxy again. More Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. I definitely think 2022 was year of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. So those were some commons and uncommons that I really liked that came out in 2022. If you're a new player, a casual player, starting out your collection, definitely jump on eBay, start typing in Heroclix, Avengers Forever, Drax, or whatever, and try to get your hands on these. It should be pretty cheap. Let just $1 or $2, nothing more than that should be what they should be going for. And I think they're good pieces that can fill out any kind of team and help out in all kinds of ways. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to make another video talking about my favorite rares, and that'll be coming up later. Thank you so much. I hope you had a happy new year, everybody, and looking forward to more Heroclix in 2023.